This is Module 9, the video case study for Amy Tanner. Um, After doing the research on Glennon and watching her TED Talk and going to her website where she blogs, I figured out that Glennon had a sensitivity to emotion. Whether it was good or bad, they felt overwhelming to her at a very young age. And according to the ANAD, which is the National Association of Anorexia and Related Disorders, the average onset for bulimia has dropped in recent years from 17 to 19 years old to 13 to 17 years old. This is still significantly older than Glennon was when she began binging and purging at 8 years old. In fact, anorexia and bulimia rarely begin before puberty. So Glennon might have been an early bloomer. We don't know that, but however, in the majority of cases, the onset of eating disorders is often associated with a stressful life event. That's something that Glennon didn't share, but might be a possibility. Let's see. That could be explored further in a case study on Glennon. From the theoretical perspective, the learning model could easily be applied to Glennon's case. She expresses that binging and purging distracted her from awkward and uncomfortable feelings that she experienced, so she felt relieved whenever she would throw up. Her bulimic acts took away the emotional pain temporarily, negatively reinforcing the behavior and therefore making Glennon want to repeat the behavior again and again. And Glennon expressed that alcohol and drugs, though she never specified which substances, also allowed her to escape from the real world. So these behaviors and substance use were reinforcing time and time again, which is the learning theory. So the learning theory applies to Glennon's case. The biopsychosocial model, which takes on different factors into consideration, could be applicable to Glennon's case as well. However, this is a less useful model for understanding Glennon because she expressed that she had a relatively magical childhood, which added a layer of guilt to her, guilt and pain and confusion as to why she felt the way she did. This implies, though, that Glennon had no physical, verbal, or sexual abuse in her childhood. That's implied through the way she describes her childhood, that was free of those kind of things. But she does express feeling awkward and oily, quote unquote, and emotionally sensitive, which applies to the biopsychosocial model in that she, psychologically felt sensitive and socially felt awkward. So that applies, but less so than the learning model. Her expression of being born with an extra layer of sensitivity, which gives an attribute of disease model, because she feels she was born that way. In other words, she was born with a vulnerability. All that was left for her was to find substances and or behaviors to self-medicate this innate vulnerability or innate vulnerable condition. She found several behaviors and substances in which she did choose to medicate. She calls herself a recovering everything. Bad love, as she puts it, was one of her behavioral addictions. If there is such a thing as an addictive personality, I would say that Glennon feels that she has one. I believe that a combination of the disease and learning models are the most useful for understanding Glennon's situation because she expresses a vulnerability and then learned behaviors for dealing with that vulnerability. I would guess from the case study of Glennon that she leads a life of recovery where she has to consistently check herself, so to speak, or take inventory to make sure she's not falling back into old behavior patterns or developing a new habit that may become an addiction. And it's encouraging to see that Glennon is encouraging other women to overcome addiction through her blog and her TED Talks and other things. So that is my review of Glennon's case and the theoretical perspectives that apply. Thank you.